This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I am your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
Thank you for not
he
doing
didn't do
what's
it.
up, what's up.
He didn't do what's up, what's up.
I was waiting to roast him, just completely go after him.
I got distracted. The camera's back, so I did the finger guns instead.
Keep the finger guns. Keep the finger guns. And I got Dave Oster to his, would that be left, right?
To my left. Yeah, to my right.
Yeah. Anyways, this is the Fast Break Podcast. We're covering the possible Russell Westbrook trade. Should the Oklahoma City Thunder trade Russell Westbrook, since he will be a free agent after this season? And since KD left, should they just go complete rebuild mode? We're going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings possibly looking into a Rudy Gay trade. And we'll also be going into the Summer League. Utah and Orlando has wrapped up, and Las Vegas just got underway.
You didn't mention the most important part.
What's the most important part?
They can see us.
Well, yeah,
if they're not on SoundCloud.
They've been asking for it.
They've been asking for it back. And if you've the kind of general answer I've been giving is check out the onside kick from last week, because me and Mark kind of go over it. We don't got enough time to edit everything, so it's just going to be one podcast a week.
Yeah.
Do we know which one it'll be that week? No, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, and maybe it will be Fast Break most of the time.
Maybe.
I mean, you guys do
Because
love us the most,
Ricky,
right?
we do pretty well outside of all the podcasts.
No, we're getting into football season. Got to get the onside kick some love.
Fast Break's better.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into the Russell Westbrook talk. You know, we obviously know KD left on July 4th to the Golden State Warriors, and now Russell Westbrook is basically on his own island in Oklahoma City, and the question is, with his free agency looming, should they, just go all in like they did with KD and just try to re-sign him back, or should they just try to get some assets in case Russell comes back? Because, if the sources was right or not, KD was leading 90% to OKC, and they might not have been thinking that he was going to be going.
You trade him now.
You
trade
pull
him
the trigger right now?
You pull it right now. Because if I'm an OKC fan and I'm hearing reports of, well, we really want to hang on to Russell Westbrook. You know what that tells me? I'm a Bulls fan. How did that work for us with Paul? No, Paul is part of the plan, Ricky. He is part of the plan. And then he leaves. That's going to happen with Russell Westbrook. He is going west to LA.
I think in the beginning of the season he was a part of the plan, but then by mid-season I think just Garpax couldn't pull the trigger.
At the trade deadline,
no,
they
that
said
was their fault.
He's
Yeah.
a part. He's a part of the plan. He's a part of this
I think
future.
that's just so they didn't get roasted there.
Yeah, they had to make the effort for the playoff push.
With Russell Westbrook, I trade him right now because you don't want to risk a freak injury. You want to get as much as you can get for him.
So you think there's zero chance that if he went to free agency, he would return to OKC?
I think there's no chance at this point,
Really?
especially if because this team, the way you got to think about it, and I know that they have Billy Donovan this year, and I know Steven Adams stepped up in the playoffs, but the one thing you got to look at is this team 2 years ago didn't have KD for most of the year because of foot injury. Did they make the playoffs?
No, but was this team the same team as it is now? No, they've obviously gotten better.
And I know it's a different team.
They've moved a lot of pieces out.
But after looking at that, I'm starting to think shit, is this a team that's not 1 through 4? Are they 5 through 8 in the West?
They could be slipping. I mean, the good thing is, out of all the big superstars in the league, Russ is one of those guys who can take over a game. We've seen that out of him when KD was out. He has that mindset, that leadership quality to him. The problem is when it comes to choke time, maybe now that there's not a B option on that team, now that it's me or nothing, maybe he'll take that as a step forward and he'll just kill the end of the game. And that's what you have to hope for as an OKC fan, is that he can now take over. He is your one and only source for how to close out a game. And I think, look, he's going to put up an absolute stupid amount of stats. I mean, Oladipo coming there is great. And moving out Ibaka, so now they've got a little bit better spacing. Look, this team is going to be his to mold, his to do whatever he wants to with, if he stays for the season.
And I want to mention that molding thing. Adrian Wojnarowski said that the Oklahoma City, he said this on the Herd, that they're not going to be looking to trade Russell Westbrook. They're not even going to be, really entertaining offers. And if you look at this team, how it's composed right now, you got Sabonis, who's 20 years old, Adams, who's 22, Waiters, who's 24. They haven't officially signed him back, but they do have restricted free agency on him, so they can bring him back. Cameron Payne, who's 21 and killing in the summer league. Oladipo's 24, Christian's 23, Cantor's 23, Roberson's 24, Eustace is 24, McGarry's 24. They have the young talent. They got a prime superstar in Russell Westbrook, and they have their first and second round picks, and they have a protected Boston second and Memphis second. So they do have draft picks, so they can still retool and rebuild
this
in a
team
couple of years.
I think this team is set up. The big big question, like you said, Ricky, is will he come back given the opportunity, or will he get drawn in by another team this offseason? I mean, the thing is, they can always offer him the most money because they have his rights. So it comes down to, are they going to give him the best opportunity to win, or is he just looking for, I want to go somewhere where I want to have fun, where I want to be a public image, get my face out there?
This is what I kind of see, and this is what I'm thinking right now is like kind of an early kind of looking into my crystal ball.
Okay.
We were talking before the podcast, Dave, kind of about draft of last year, and the one thing we mentioned with the Lakers was, I'm like, they got to keep their top 3 pick, because if they fall out of the top 3, it's bye-bye. And you went, oh, well, that's going to happen because they're going to be 4 through 30.
Yeah, I would like to see them 4 through 30. I don't think they're going to be that bad.
And for me, if I'm a Laker fan, if I'm in the Laker organization, you're then fine with that if you can nab a Russell Westbrook in free agency. And I think what may happen is that Laker team is good. Are they good enough to make the playoffs? No. But then they grab a Russell Westbrook because he's like, man, there's something going there, and I want to go back to where I played my college ball. I want to go back home to California.
D'Angelo get traded.
This Thunder team, like, I know with me, I said you got to trade him right now. I know they're not going to do that. At the trade deadline, though, you have to let this guy go, because you don't want you can sit there and go, oh, well, it's a 90% chance he stays. Well, like you said, Sean, it was a 90% chance that KD was going to stay, and Sam Presti even said, you know what, we knew this was going to happen, and they left some people in the Hamptons to kind of finish the job. Like, they knew he was leaving. Well, this could happen again, and if you're the Thunder, if you're a Thunder fan, you've already gone through this once. Do you want to go through it again and not get anything for this guy?
But, I mean, if they're saying they're not going to trade him, do you think they have more confident that they can sign Russ back? Because maybe, the whole thing with KD is that he didn't want to be, playing second fiddle. I mean, now he's going to the Warriors, where he's probably playing like third, or he's going to be competing with all these superstars here. But, with Russ, it was kind of they're battling on who's going to be the number one, where the Warriors kind of mentality is, no one's the number one. Everyone's just to get together and equal. But with Oklahoma City, do you think now that Russ is the number one, and it's basically kind of like the Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose thing, where they moved one, or not by choice, but one's gone. Now one can finally get the pressure off of who's gonna, can I make this last shot? Can I prove that I'm the number one, and just be playing the way he can? It's
the mindset of the player, Dave.
It really comes down to it.
But you say mindset of the player. When KD was out, he had like 4 straight double-doubles. He lit it up.
Triple-double.
Triple-double,
Think about this. We had, before KD made his decision, a close friend of his, he's 90% going to stay. Think back to the decision with LeBron. He said he woke up that day and didn't really know which side he was going to pick.
Yeah.
These players are, and I'm not going to say they're finicky, but they're kind of swayed easily. And when they get to this decision, we've seen it time and time again, where it's like they can make they could be thinking one way all the way, and then one thing, boom, and they switch.
Yeah, I think the thing that OKC has going for them, though, in order to keep Russell Westbrook, is the fact that this next offseason is like going to have a ton of quality free agents. So not only can you keep Russ there, you can go out and sign him a 2. You can sign him a second guy to play with on a good contract.
To recruit someone, though?
Or they're going to have to pay out for Oladipo. It depends. Oladipo is a big question mark. Is if he performs very well this year, he's going to get paid by them and come back. If he doesn't, they can go out and find a better piece that works better with Russ.
Well, I want to throw this question at you for OKC.
Yep.
Let's say they want to sign someone then. They want to bring in a max deal. If you're Russell Westbrook, can you recruit someone to play in OKC? Yeah, they've got a great fan base. I'm not knocking them, but you got to go back. If I'm choosing living in LA and living in OKC, I'm going to pick LA all day, every day.
Well, yeah.
If I'm picking New York or OKC, I'll pick New York. If I'm picking Chicago or OKC, I'll pick Chicago.
Obviously they're not, a top market
destination. Yeah.
We get that, but it's maybe more of how this team looks for the future. I mean, what if a player really does want to play with Russell Westbrook? What if a player that really wants to play with Victor Oladipo? What if a player is a former Florida player that was coached under Billy Donovan? Kind of like the
everybody has their own
situation.
reasons you can pull somebody in for.
Exactly. Maybe a guy played with Russ on a national team, or maybe I don't think K-Love's a free agent, but maybe they have the UCLA connection. Maybe there's something there, or maybe they're from Oklahoma. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff there. I know Blake Griffin. I'm not saying Blake Griffin's going to the Thunder here, but he did play his ball at Oklahoma. Maybe he wants to go back there. I'm not saying, Oklahoma's a better destination, but, I see your point of how can they bring in a superstar. Maybe they do have to trade for one, to bring one in, kind of like what they did with Victor Oladipo.
Well, because when you look at it, this is not a team that was built off of let's get free agents to come here. Durant was homegrown. Westbrook was homegrown. Harden was homegrown.
Well, they're like the Spurs.
All these guys were drafted and built up. Maybe you have to go back to that, but I think that is going to be a key hurdle for them because who's going to want to go to OKC over a primetime destination?
Well, if they want to win.
Destination versus winning. I mean, look, Russell's going to put up 30, 10, and 10 probably this year because who else is going to fill that stat sheet? I mean, he has an opportunity to have a monster year, be MVP quality. It just comes down to the guys around him and if they mesh. Because, look, Russ on his own, I feel like KD was like a calming presence to that locker room because Russ seems, I mean, he's I don't want to say immature, but he's super passionate.
He's fiery.
He's fiery, yeah. So he can go up there and get people fired up in a similar line to Kobe. But the question is, Kobe always had that guy, that secondary guy to talk the team in, like kind of calm everybody, get together. I don't know who's going to do that. Who's going to stand next to Russ and be like, dude, you got to chill for a bit. There's nobody there to keep him in line anymore.
Is it going to be the stash?
So I mean, it's got to be
Adams.
The stash.
It's going to be Cantor.
Maybe he's just got muscle. Maybe there's no one to calm him down.
But that's the
maybe
question.
It's just
like
full fire.
I have to wonder.
I got it. You know who could be? Cameron Payne. They're the ones doing all the dances before the games, doing that little handshake. Who was it from the Mavericks that kept trying to interrupt? Villanueva.
Yeah, Villanueva.
Kept trying to interrupt. Like maybe he can be the calming.
But I feel like somebody needs to step in there because otherwise, I'm concerned. Like if they start to lose a couple games here and there, Wes is going to go off, and it's not going to be pretty for anybody.
Yeah, and the thing with OKC, I mean, obviously they're not done. Obviously, free agents still in full swing. I mean, obviously the bigger names have fallen, but, they do have some money left over, and if they do want to get a guy, a veteran out there to kind of fill that gap of a guy who can kind of be a calming presence.
Yeah, because you mentioned, like, everybody on the team's under, like, 25, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't hurt to get somebody in there with some age. I mean, we saw that. I mean, I'm not comparing it directly, but we saw the 76ers without veteran leadership, like, imploded. Like, the kids were running the locker room. Things were horrible. Like, Ja was getting, like, arrested. He's in street fights and shit. This is ridiculous. So they brought in, like, Elton Brand and a couple older guys, and, like, that settled the locker room down. I think OKC probably needs one or two of those, like, vet minimum guys just to have good locker room guys to bring it together.
Like Meta World Peace.
Like Meta
World Peace.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, but with OKC, I mean, I don't think they should trade Russ. I think if they have a very good idea that Russ is going to stay, I think that they shouldn't trade him. If you don't have to get rid of him, and obviously if he's like, I'm not signing, and this is before the trade deadline, then obviously you trade him away.
Unless he comes out and says that specifically, I'm holding on to him.
And maybe
unless
they
he's 100%. Get rid of him.
And maybe he works out a deal in the middle of the season because James Harden just worked out to renegotiate his contract to extend him for 4 years. Maybe they do something like that to make sure that he does stay. But I kind of see Oklahoma City kind of going in the route of Dallas and how Dallas didn't have a superstar next to Dirk when they won their championship. It was Dirk, and then they just had a lot of veteran guys.
Tyson Chandler,
Jason Kidd, Jason Terry. They have a lot of solid players
past your
around
prime
them.
vets, and they were able to contribute on a very high level that season.
Exactly. So maybe they look for guys like that. I mean, they are a younger team, so maybe they've
got time.
Really
and you said they still have all their draft picks and then some. So look, they've got pieces. I think OKC will be fine moving forward. It's just I don't want them to make that snap judgment like Ricky's suggesting and be like, fucking pull the trigger, get him out of here, let's rebuild mode.
And what
it's not rebuild mode. It's just a fact of I don't think he's going to stay. I don't think anything is going to get him to say, sure, let me sign up for more years.
Him being the man. I think that would definitely help him.
Nope. I think he leaves at the end of the season. And if I'm the OKC Thunder, you get rid of him because he ain't staying.
You don't think Russ has that? We kind of talked when we compared it to Kobe. Kobe wanted to be the guy. Kobe was the guy. You don't think he has a similar mentality of him wanting to be the guy?
Threw down about it until Shaq and eventually got chosen. We're gonna move with Kobe for.
And here's the difference. Here's the difference between this Thunder team and that Laker team. Kobe and Shaq were coming off some titles by that point, and the Thunder haven't won anything.
Right. Yeah, but they're still. KD and Russ were still fighting. Like, who's going to be the number one? Now Russ is the clear number one. You don't think that kind of plays into this decision where he's beloved by this fan base. He is the number one guy. They have faith in him. He's going to be the guy who they go to for every single decision. You don't think that helps him at all?
I'm going to throw this out there.
I think he's going to love it.
I'm going to throw this out there. couldn't win it with KD. What makes you think you can win it by yourself?
What if it's not about winning? What if it's about literally just building a legacy? I'm not saying, what if he wants to...
You can't throw the L word out there without thinking of rings, man.
No, you can't.
The thing that builds the legacy is how many rings you have. Like, you can hate or love that comparison, but that is what legacy comes down to. How many rings do you have?
I'm just saying you could still be beloved in a city, and you could you could still be seen as one of the best players of all time.
It's like you in New York.
Elgin Baylor never won a ring. He's still considered one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, but I think Russell Westbrook is going to. You ask any player, if they say, you know what, man, I wasn't worried about getting a ring. I just wanted to play here. Bull fucking shit. You want a ring. Everybody wants a ring.
Well, I'm not saying he doesn't want a ring. I'm not saying that Russ doesn't want a ring.
Because he wants that ring, he's going to sit there.
Being handed the keys to the kingdom in OKC, and this is your team. This is all in your hands. You're going to make this work, and you can drive this team as far as you want to take it.
It's all going to be if he thinks, I can win a championship here. That's going to be the only factor if he stays.
What makes LA better than that? Because they already have D'Angelo Russell. I know it's his hometown, or it's his home, his home state. Obviously, I think he's from Long Beach. I don't think he's from LA.
Long
but
Beach, you're correct.
But with Russ, they already have D'Angelo Russell there. I know Clarkson. Maybe they move Russ to the 2 and have Westbrook come to the 1
to the 2.
But he's going to be the prime ball handler, and then you're probably going to have another situation where who's the guy then if D'Angelo Russell wants to be the guy there and Russ is coming in.
And here's the thing about I love that you brought up the here's the guy conversation, because this past week on Any Given Wednesday, with Bill Simmons, he had Anthony Anderson, I think is his name.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson and Chris
Bosh.
Yeah.
Chris Bosh. I fucking love what Bosh said, because they're talking about like legacy, why KD left, and Bill Simmons is like, just give me something.
Yeah.
Why did he leave? And Bosh was like, well, it was D Wade's team when LeBron came in, but it didn't end like that. It ended as LeBron's team. And he goes, that doesn't happen overnight. A coach can't tell you that. Pat Riley couldn't be like, hey, it's your team now. He's like, that was a conversation that had to go on between those two guys, and it has to get settled out. I see the same thing with the Bulls, with Rondo going, hey, you know what? We got 3 alphas, but it's Jimmy's team. Because in the end, it's like, who fucking gives a shit? You know what? Just so these people shut up.
No, they give a shit.
They give a shit.
It's your team.
And as far as maturity levels are concerned, I'm impressed that you put Rondo in that conversation.
No. Rondo, it wants to be his team. But I mean, with that Heat team, you look back, and I think Wade at that point was like, fuck it, whatever.
Wade was just there to win rings.
It's your team. I just want to win rings. And Russell Westbrook, the thing I think is going to happen is he's going to look and say, hey, you know what? This is a great city. This is a great atmosphere, but I can't win here. I'm going to try to win somewhere else. Because if he's going to struggle and you say, oh, well, that Lakers team may not be anywhere to win him a ring.
I'm not saying that. I said they're going to be a playoff team.
What seems more appealing to you? Losing in OKC or losing in the Staples Center and actually having that
losing
crowd?
in a bigger market where they are a critical media, where you're coming in as a big free agent signing and you not doing exactly the expectation is higher. In OKC, there is not really an expectation. You're staying, you're beloved, you're in a city that you've been there for 7 years. They've seen you grown. You are the guy. If you're not winning, well, it's not, oh, Russ can't win it. It's Russ doesn't have any help. It's not Russ can't win it. He would have won it if KD left.
Right, and that's the thing. They can always point back to, well, if KD didn't leave, they could on this, they could on that.
It's not Russ's fault. It's KD's fault. It's not Russ's fault. It's the front office's fault.
As far as like a one-man team, it reminds me of Dirk earlier in his career. It was always Dirk could carry that team so far, but he could never finish it until they brought in that veteran core around him to just stable everything up. With Russ in OKC, I think that because it's a young core, he can kind of get them all. He can get their buy-in much easier. If there's, they toss in a veteran or something on top, like, look, that team will follow him. It's not a problem unless he goes like absolutely psycho and punches out a teammate. Like, this is his team. And I think that as far as a building block goes, OKC is as good of a place as any.
And I think most of these players already know that this is Russ's team. I mean, last year,
who's going to challenge you? You just trade off your 2 and 3.
Yeah, and most of these guys have already played with him. Really,
yeah.
I mean, outside of Sabonis and outside of Oladipo.
Like, it's not the Stash's team.
No, well, if he gives you any flack, you just got to kick him in the balls, and he knows how that feels.
Oh.
Anyways,
That's how you get him to shut up.
I think Adams is more just worried about being the stash brother, not being the number one. I think he's easily
Stash brother.
the Stash Brothers.
Okay, who's the other stash brother?
Cantor.
Does Cantor have a stash?
You don't remember that? They made
No,
T-shirts.
I don't remember the stash. I only remember the stash that needed
The stash
to be cleaned.
wax?
Yep, the wax. That's what it is.
Will Russell Westbrook be a Thunder next year?
Nope, trade him at least by
Be
the
a part of
deadline.
the
He's
Thunder.
gone.
Not a
He
Thunder.
is
He'll be a
gone.
Thunder.
He's going to get traded. Well,
Is he going
Are
to
you
get
saying
traded or is he
mid-year,
leaving?
or is it
they should trade him at the deadline because he's going to sign somewhere else.
Where's he
That's
going
what
to
I feel. L.A.
All right.
I got
Your
him
thoughts?
sticking in OKC. I think that he's going to rise to this challenge, be the alpha male, and take over.
We Agree podcast coming to your SoundCloud coming soon. I think right now in the situation where Sam Presti is like, because Sam Presti already saw this happen. Sam Presti saw a superstar leave, and he saw not getting anything in return from him. He saw the heartbreak of the fans. He saw all this. If he wasn't sure that Russ would be staying, then I don't think he would take a chance on it. I think he would be. I think he would definitely be considering trades right now.
Well,
And
right now,
from what it sounds,
you feel like
it doesn't sound like that.
Right now, you're like, okay, no, we can still get him to stay. When we get to that trade deadline, though, when it's like,
If OKC isn't in the top four,
What if this team is in the top four? What if this team is in the top five? What if they're in a really tight playoff race?
yeah.
to me, it all comes up to, okay, well, we may make the playoffs. How far are we going to go? Because if, like I said earlier, unless he's 100% going to stay,
That's what I'm saying. No,
at that trade deadline, I ship him off
that's what I'm
because
saying.
I got to get
is
something for him.
I feel like Sam Presti
But
has
is that
already
not
gone
a
through
kick in the
Kate.
nuts to the entire fan base of that city, being like, so we're not going to win a championship this year, so I shipped off our best chance for the future.
What would be a bigger
But my
kick in the
thing
nuts
is-
is if he leaves again for nothing.
My
and
thing-
you get KD 2.0.
That's what I'm saying is Sam Presti already saw the heartbreak in this city of KD leaving. He saw, them being so close to re-signing him and
you
bringing
got
him
to
back.
get something for him.
So we're
That's-
saying leaving
what
for
I'm saying.
nothing is worse than trading him if you're in the playoff run?
But my thing is more of it's not really they would have traded him right now if
If
they
the
weren't
season
100%.
starts, he's still in the Thunder. He's going to end the season on the Thunder.
I feel Sam Presti is still. I think he's 100% that Russ is going to stay. If he wasn't 100%, I think there'd be trade talks right now because I don't think he wants this team or this city going down the same road. I think he wants.
How do you find equal value for Russell Westbrook?
You can't. You can't. That's the thing. That's the hard thing about trading him. You're not going to be able to find equal value. I mean, really, the only team that could probably offer it up is a team like the 76ers who have a ton of draft picks or the Boston Celtics. I think those are the only teams that can really offer you close to fair value or something near close value. I mean, you got to look at a team like, or maybe a team like the Timberwolves who can offer up like an Andrew Wiggins. Like you need a guy who's going to be a future superstar to fill in for a top 5 player in the NBA. And I think Sam Presti knows that, and I think Sam Presti's like, well, we're going to need to sell high on him, and if he's not 100% on staying, we cannot do this to the city again. We need to get him out before he just leaves for nothing. I think Sam Presti is a smart enough GM not to do that to his fans. I think he's a smart enough GM to do that, not to do that to his team again. I think he's already been bitten before by KD, and I don't think he wants that to happen again. So I don't see him. I don't see Russ leaving OKC, whether it's in free agency or whether it's a trade. I think he's going to be back, and I think he wants to be the guy in OKC. I think he wants to be remembered as the guy. And yeah, they might not have a great championship shot in the next 3 years or next 2 years, but they will. I feel like Russ will be able to push them to that championship level or to the top of the Western Conference again, and maybe be competing with the Warriors.
Is this some sick continuation of the Seattle SuperSonics luck, where it's like you had Sean Kemp, you had
Gary
Payton together, you couldn't win a championship, then one shipped off, then the other, and now you've got Russell Westbrook, you've got Kevin Durant, and you couldn't win a championship.
And each time,
one ships off.
each time, who did they run into? The best player of that era.
Also, real quick, John Stockton and Karl Malone, you're saying they don't have legacies in Utah? You're saying they don't have legacies in the NBA? They never won a ring.
Yeah,
I just want to bring that up there. Elgin Baylor, too.
There's a lot of greats who didn't win a ring.
The mailman is a great, but when you're ranking them overall, I'm putting guys like you think of the guys that win the ring first. You think of those guys that win the ring, and it's like one of those. If you could ask Karl Malone if he'd give up all the accolades he has just for one ring, I bet most guys would say sure.
I'm not saying
I just want that
I'm not
one.
saying they would rather win a championship. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they still have legacies.
Yeah.
I'm still saying would their legacies be better with a ring? Yes, but I'm still saying they have legacies as one of the greatest players of all time.
Also, what we talked about in the KD special podcast was this whole newer era of NBA players where we see LeBron leave, now KD leave, and players are more actively moving. That's why I stick right now and say Westbrook is leaving unless you can say
Westbrook
we
to the
have
Cavs.
a legit title shot.
Fight the super team. Out of pure spite for KD, he joins the Cavaliers.
Could they work a trade out for Love and then some players and get him on that team?
That's not for a trade value at all. I love K-Love. Not for
Love,
a
a
trade value
first,
for
and
Well, you're getting robbed if you're the
19 first
Thunder.
probably.
Two
like,
firsts.
Yeah, you need
Two
to
firsts.
You need to back up a truck.
Love 2 firsts and like somebody else to balance out a contract. That why not? Pull the trigger on that shit. I would love to see Kyrie and Westbrook.
You think K-Love
LeBron.
and 2 firsts is K-Love and basically 230 overall picks or 29 overall picks is worth Russell Westbrook?
No, you're right.
See,
You're right. That hurts.
It's not like a top 5 pick here.
Yeah.
This isn't like old Cleveland offering up a
JR.
softball.
Toss
here.
JR in there.
There you go, a shirtless JR. Anyways,
Shirt comes separate.
Dave and I agree. Shocker that he's going to stay in OKC. Ricky is thinking he's going to LA.
He's going to leave.
He's going to be shipping up.
It's going to be a scary year for OKC.
Maybe he'll
though.
be shipping up to Boston. We'll have to
Maybe
see.
he could.
Oh.